Yo, what's up, wrestling fans? It's your boy E here with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Hoping you guys had an amazing week. We had a whole week of wrestling. Obviously, Monday Night Raw, Tuesday NXT, Wednesday Dynamite, Thursday, Impact Wrestling, also Ring of Honor. But tonight you have Friday Night Smackdown. Um, I know it's not live like right now, but it was previously taped because they're airing it in France, so it came out a long time ago. But like I said, and like I always do, I promise you guys that I have not looked at anything at all. So those who are joining me and it's like let's see what this guy has to say. Like let's have a nice little conversation about what happened on what potentially might happen on WWE SmackDown. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today lined up. We have our Thursday Night Wrestling review. We're going to talk about what happened on the Impact. Also heading toward Under Siege, which was also live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on Access TV. And then we're also going to segue into our WWE SmackDown preview. And then we're going to talk about WWE Backlash, my predictions, and as always, every Friday fourth segment, we're going to have our wrestling news roundup where I give you guys some cool wrestling factoids to kind of take into the weekend, just in case you might run into another wrestling fan and you might, you're looking for things to talk about. You're like, what do I talk about? Oh, yeah, that's right. My boy E here on the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast got me covered. So, we're going to talk right on to that. But before we move on, I want to remind you guys that we get a number of questions that come in from viewers like you during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions up on top so I can see it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want to talk about in the podcast. Tell me potential storylines. I want to hear your predictions. I want to hear, where you guys think certain superstars are going to go, especially with Backlash. This is the first, well, not the first pay-per-view or the first really like big event that's happening under the Paul Levesque era. But ultimately, this is kind of like a nice little, every main event matters. Every, show matters. So it's going to be interesting to see like where they decide to go with France and SmackDown. So, leave a positive review. If not, if you're leaving criticism, please don't break my heart. I'm just kidding. No. Say what you need to say. Say what you need to say. I love criticism. Feedback is a gift. Positivity, I love that too. At the GSMC Sports Network, we love peace, love, and positivity 110% all the way. That's all gravy, baby. So again, the link is the GSMC, podcast.net. So let's go ahead and jump on into our first segment. We're going to talk about a Thursday Night Wrestling review, which was actually, it's a pretty good one. It was a pretty good one. So we have Mustafa Ali defeating Chris Bay in X Division, X Division. Is it not champ? It wasn't a championship match. It wasn't a championship match. It was like just like a fight between the X Division, the champion, and Chris Bay, which was kind of like I thought it was really good because Chris Bay was trying to kind of do Ace Austin and Trey Miguel like a solid to like kind of kick him down and be like, you know what, like this guy has a championship at Under Siege heading to, in Albany, New York tonight. So like, let's make him lose. But ultimately that did not happen. Mustafa Ali defeated Chris Bay. And now he's, riding some pretty high confidence there. He built that momentum, so it's going to be hard for Ace Austin to, to dethrone the X Division champion. So next we have Alicia Edwards defeating Danny Luna. And then we have the Sin City Street fight between Hammerstone defeating Cody Deaner. Ace Austin, like I said before, defeated Trey Miguel. Jordan Grace retains against Miyu Yamashita. Very impressive. I love Jordan Grace. Seeing her on WWE Royal Rumble. I gotta be honest, a lot of people like, and I was guilty of this as well. Like they see these superstars that come from like not your average WWE or AEW product, and you're like, man, who the hell is that? So then you had to Google Jordan Grace, and honestly, her accolades like define her and her illustrious career so far, and she's just starting. So good for her. Would absolutely love to see her like keep doing what she's doing in TNA. if she finds a way to make it up to WWE, which was kind of like a forbidden door in the professional wrestling industry. Because for the longest time, WWE alienated itself from TNA, Ring of Honor, AEW, and in the past WCW, NWA, et cetera, et cetera. Just to kind of I think WWE kind of thought of themselves like more like kind of highly of them, those companies and stuff like that. And I think once when Vince McMahon kind of went under and Paul Levesque took over, he kind of, saw this as not an opportunity to kind of merge brands and be like, oh, we're better than these guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just the brand. It's not just the brand. You also have to think about like the superstars that are involved. In AEW, IWGP champion, John Moxley, formerly known as Dean Ambrose. He would be pretty cool to have back in like a WWE fight with like imagine like a Seth Rollins match. That would be pretty cool. Also, you kind of have Will Ospreay in AEW. You have Jordan Grace, like I mentioned before. It would be super dope to kind of see that Forbidden Door open. Even Natalia, from the Hart family, of course, the Hart Foundation, had an opportunity where she was sending tweets, kind of like hidden messages that maybe could have broke down the fourth wall on Forbidden Door, having wrestling promotions kind of, intertwined with WWE, which has been absolutely foreign and absolutely like, blacklisted in WWE in the past. So honestly, if they do something, with that in the future, that'd be pretty cool. But I don't want to go off on a tangent and talk about conspiracy theories here. But ultimately, who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? So moving on, we had Joe Hendry's apology concert was basically just a way to kind of get under AJ Francis and Rick Swan's just kind of get under their skin a little more, like what I mean, trying to push that envelope there. So I thought that was pretty cool. Matt Hardy made Speedball Mountain honorary members of the Hardy family, which is I think that's cool. I think that's cool. You had the broken Matt Hardy going, and he returned. He signed with Ring of Honor. No, he signed with TNA, and ultimately, like a lot of people kind of saw him fading away from the wrestling industry, especially with Jeff Hardy's contract not being picked up. So I honestly like the move that Matt Hardy made, and he's gonna represent the TNA brand like pretty well. Obviously every match he's in, every promo, every storyline, it's gonna be unpredictable. And that's what wrestling fans love. They love the unpredictability of the professional wrestling industry. So, definitely rooting for that. You have Eric Young and Josh Alexander sending a firm warning to Macklin and Kazarian. And of course, after Jordan Grace's successful title defense, you saw Stephanie Launder kind of come out with Connor. Connor used to be part of the Ascension in WWE. I like that tag team. I thought they were badass. They kind of had the dark faces and stuff like that. A little demonic, but you gotta love yourself some wrestling entertainment. Gotta love it. So I thought that was pretty cool. And just kind of taking a peek into TNA Under Siege. Like I said, it's happening tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific in Albany, New York. We have Hendry against Zach Wentz, Ash by Elegance looking to build momentum against Havoc. The FBI is in action tonight. You also have, a TNA Knockouts Tag Team World Championship match between Spitfire and Alicia Edwards and Masha Slamovich. And then you have Jonathan Grisham making his return against Kushida. The Laredo Kid, the digital media champion, is going to fight. I think it's a non-title match against Rick Swan. But hey, who knows? Maybe like they get there and Rick Swan's like, hey, if you're so confident that you think you're going to beat me, put that title on the line. I think that would be pretty badass. I think that would be amazing. Obviously, you up the ante. Furthermore, it ups the audience's intentions and also their, interest in the match itself. So definitely should be pretty awesome to see that. Also, we see Hammerstone against Jake Something. Alexander and Young take on Macklin and Kazarian. And the X Division Championship match between Mustafa Ali and Ace Austin is going to be pretty badass. The X Division in TNA Impact Wrestling has been by far definitely been one of the best things to watch in professional wrestling. Kind of like, I want to honestly kind of compare it to like the Intercontinental Championship, kind of like the title, kind of like the range, kind of like the division inside the WWE. The X Division Championship has been there for so very long since it peaked since TNA peaked back in 2006. But ultimately, I feel like Mustafa Ali's, I think he's going to pick up the victory. It'd be kind of crazy to see him drop the title here, but, honestly, a little unpredictability does about it good. So next we have PCO and Grace is going to fight against Stephanie Launder and Khan in a in a mixed tag team match. And then we have the System is going, which can, consists of Moose and his boys, are going to fight against Matt Hardy and the new honorary members of the Hardy family, Speedball Mountain. So I think that should be pretty badass as well. A lot of stuff to look forward to under Siege. Can't wait to, watch highlights and stuff like that. So, absolutely, should be pretty cool. Next is Ring of Honor. We're going to move on. We saw the Infantry defeating the Outrunners last night, and Nylon Rose, making her come back into the ring, defeated Cameron Brenay, and he saw the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, the Undisputed Kingdom, defeat the Crown in a Proving Ground match. Toa Lianoa defeated Jimmy Wild. The Dark Order defeated Adam Priest, Zicky Dice, and Sean Mulata. Aaron Solo defeated John Cruz and Queen. And I was actually pretty pleased when I found out this happened, that Queen Aminata defeated Robin Renegade because the Queen, to be honest, like, she's been around the, kind of like the big gist of what what Ring of Honor really has to offer. Like, she was in that tournament for the women's TV, television championship. Was basically there. Starks had a little, she had a little, she had her own strategy to kind of win the match overall. But honestly, I love the Queen. I think she's going to do big things. I don't know if she's good enough to dethrone Athena. I'm not saying that she's bad enough not to be the one to do that if it has a shocker, value all of a sudden. But ultimately, this girl, she knows how to wrestle. She knows how to, draw storylines. She knows how to do promotions. She has, she has a lot to prove. She feels like she has this unfinished business with the MIT. Obviously, like I said before, the tournament championship with the television women's championship, and just Athena. It wouldn't surprise me at the next, pay-per-view or the next main event that she's going to be the next one to fight Athena for her championship. Honestly, I would kind of want that to happen. I, as a wrestling fan, dabbing myself into TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan Wrestling whenever I can. I would love it. I think that would be pretty cool. That'd be like a dynamite, play there by the wrestling organization or the promotion. So, yeah. Well, guys, don't go anywhere. Hope you guys like my Thursday Night Wrestling review. But next, we're going to talk about our WWE Smackdown preview. We are in France today. Like I said before, it's not live right now. Usually at 8 p.m., I'm a little on edge, I'm like, oh my God, like, I can't wait to watch SmackDown, but I'm with my wrestling peeps. Love you guys. Pretty badass. Maybe one of these days we should have a watch party. That'd be pretty dope. But ultimately, I feel like, excited to watch SmackDown. But, first you got to preview it. Like I said before, I have not checked a single blog, vlog, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, imagine that. I'm a guy throughout the whole entire day. I don't know if any of you guys could actually, support this. Have you checked your Instagram today? Have you checked your Twitter? Have you checked your Facebook? I bet a lot of you, no. I bet you guys have checked it. Like, the moment you wake up, it's like a natural human response and stuff like that. But I don't know. I have not. And Scout's honor. So, hey, don't go anywhere. We'll dig right on into this. So, hey, stay with me.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric, with all your wrestling factoids. Just to kind of reiterate what we talked about, our segment one, we talked about our Thursday night wrestling review, which consists of Impact Wrestling, all the matches that are, claimed under siege that are going to happen, the title bouts. And we also talked about a little bit about Ring of Honor. But mostly we're gonna head into WWE Smackdown for tonight. And like I said, I keep reiterating that honestly, guys, I haven't watched a single shred of video. Honestly, swear. I swear on my hamster's life. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a hamster. Or do I? I'm just kidding. No. Hamsters are bad. Or they're bad for the environment. It's like driving a Prius. No, just kidding. But moving on. So, but before we move on, we get a number of questions that come in during the show from viewers like you. So please remember to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. It means a lot to me. Honestly, it's cool to have a podcast, absolutely 110%. But, I love audience engagement. I love seeing, comments on the screen. Definitely if you're watching wrestling or if you have already watched SmackDown, please don't, we don't want any spoilers here. We don't want any spoilers. But if you want to talk, if you just want to share your opinion, or if you just want to, talk to somebody about wrestling, maybe maybe you have family and friends that are not into the subject matter. But, wrestling fans, they have something that NFL fans, Major League Baseball fans, hockey fans, basketball fans, that's something that they really can't relate to is that wrestling fans are, I don't know, the moment you kind of see a wrestling fan, you kind of like have this family like feeling. And I know I mentioned this before on the podcast that one time I went to Disneyland and I was wearing my Seth Rollins shirt. And some guy came up to me and he's like, "Hey, bro, nice shirt." And I look over and he had a Finn Balor shirt. And I was like, dude, automatically you have that connection, a connection that like a lot of people can't really relate to. To be honest, like whenever I go to like an Angels game, and like, or if I go to like Walmart and I see another Angels fan, it's just like, it's not really the same where you can feel like you can approach people. Wrestling fans are different. I feel like wrestling fans are more humble. Absolutely 110%. I feel like as human beings in society, I feel like we are more like open to conversation. We have better interpersonal communicative skills in terms of verbal and nonverbal. But let's not. We're here to talk about wrestling. Like, what are you guys doing to me? So like I said before, with your questions, tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Leave a positive review. I love criticism. Feedback is a gift. Any type of feedback is a gift. Again, the link is at the gsmcpodcast.net, mate. So go ahead and use that whenever you got a chance. Yeah. That was a terrible Australian accent. If y'all watching me in Australia, I apologize. If you want to send some hate mail, just kidding. Peace, love, and positivity all the way. So, WWE SmackDown. It's supposedly happening right now. It happened earlier, but just a couple of few things I want to hit on. So let's get on into it. SmackDown tonight's going to be at the LDLC Arena in France. So the new Catch Republic is going to fight the Authors of Pain, Incoming Razar. Ultimately, you saw in NXT the reason why Axiom and Frazier held on to their NXT Tag Team World Championships was Solamente because of just kind of having backup in the new Catch Republic. I love Tyler Bates. I love Pete Dunne. Absolutely great tag team. Hope they don't decide to split these guys up. But ultimately, the Authors of Pain, I thought they were going to stay on NXT. I thought this was kind of going to kind of be like, they were going to win. They're going to win because the rosters don't lock until after Backlash, which kind of leaves like the surprise factor, perhaps. They also said that there's going to be a major announcement tomorrow on Backlash. And oh my God, I live on the West Coast, and I think Backlash starts at like 10 a.m. And I'm like, why? But then again, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to seem cynical, and I'm not trying to like downplay WWE in terms of events, because all the events that's ever aired in like Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Scotland, Europe, France, and stuff like that. Back in the Vince McMahon era, I feel like those, matches or those pay-per-views were kind of just like, not really taken seriously. It was more or less just kind of giving the fans what they want, letting the people pleasers win their matches, like John Cena, or like when Bill Goldberg retained his match or defeated the Fiend. It was just nonsense. It was just stupid, absolutely stupid, totally dumb. Probably one of the dumbest things that WWE has ever done. But I don't know. Whenever they go, out of country and stuff like that, and recently WWE has said that WrestleMania will probably never, ever, ever be outside of the United States, solely solely based on the fact that like most of their money are like kind of based in the United States and stuff like that. So I don't know. I take out of country events, pay-per-views like semi seriously. Like I think something big's gonna happen, maybe. But you gotta also have to look at the reputation of the WWE. Like usually like when things happen kind of, you don't really have big things happen and you're like, oh my God, like that happened at Clash at the Castle. Do you believe that? That's crazy. Or that happened at, in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Like, I think most of the time when they have pay-per-views over there, it's more or less just kind of like letting the talent be the talent, letting them showcase their abilities, and ultimately kind of like title changes never really happen. But, like I said before, it is the Paul Levesque era. This is his second stint at an event, at like a major pay-per-view, so to speak. So could be wrong. Could be dead wrong. Y'all better watch Backlash on Saturday because you bet your butt on Monday we're going to talk about it. So please remember to tune into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast every night, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Western Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. If y'all watching me on the East Coast, I love you. Absolutely. I know it's 11 o'clock. You're probably ready to go to bed. I don't know if y'all work on Saturdays. I hope you guys are getting ready for an amazing weekend. Maybe you have a boat, or maybe like you're trying to like plan a camping trip with the kids or something like that. Absolutely, that'd be awesome. That would be 110% awesome. Love that. Love family bonding. Or if you just, you're hanging out by yourself with this hamster, why do I keep bringing up the hamster? I'm just kidding. Anyways, moving on. So we have our new RKO show with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Should be interesting to see what kind of happens. Definitely, probably will be interrupted by the Bloodline. A-Town Down Under are still under the RKO's kind of radar. What's the other guys? Who's the other guy? Logan Paul. Logan Paul, the United States champion, who doesn't have a match actually at Backlash, which I kind of he probably should have a match, but ultimately, I feel like this is kind of just like a nice little promo spot to kind of further build this tension between the Bloodline, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. So, who knows what's going to happen? Excited to see what happens. So, I don't know. Can't really tell too much right now. All I know is probably this will be um probably the second to the last match. I can see this being the second to the last match solely because this is going to be the debut of Jacob Fatu. I think ultimately the Bloodline, they're going to look beaten. They're going to look battered. It looks like they've lost. Randy Orton's stalking. He's stalking Solo Sikoa to hit him with the RKO. And then all of a sudden, interrupting the match, causing a distraction or something like that, Jacob Fatu. And that's how it's going to end. And then thus, the new, young bloodline is born. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. Like I said before, these are, just kind of like my predictions. And I probably should have saved that for my Backlash, predictions in the next segment. But, hey, like, let's talk about more stuff. Anyways, moving on, we have the A-Town Down Under are going to fight the Street Profits for the WWE Tag Team Championships. I don't know if they're going to drop the belts tonight. Highly doubt it. Absolutely highly doubt it. But then again, the Street Profits, I feel like should be the WWE Tag Team Champions because they're an actual tag team. They have good chemistry. They have just something in a match that you want to pay attention to it because sometimes even like it's like you have this subconscious thought as a wrestling fan, and I know I'm guilty of this. Like when you see the Street Profits wrestle and they lose, and you're like, oh man, that sucks. They've been in the tag team division pursuing tag team matches for a long time, and but then you have that subconscious thought that if they lose tonight to Theory and Grayson Waller, I don't know. It's like once again, it's that you have two singles wrestlers that could be fighting for the Intercontinental Championship or the United States Championship. They decide to kind of ultimately forming this A-Town Down Under, and fighting. I feel like they just. And then again, I don't want to seem too cynical, but I feel like when they're together, kind of like when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beat the Usos at WrestleMania. I loved it. It was cool. Absolutely. It was nice to see the Usos lose, but it just kind of takes opportunities away from other tag teams that are chomping at the bit, like, kind of like Pretty Deadly. You know what I mean? Like kind of like the LWO, kind of like Legado del Fantasma, Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. And, also, these guys are huge, and I don't know if anybody could take any opportunities away from this guy, but Authors of Pain. Authors of Pain, when they made their way the first time through NXT, when they made it up to the main roster on Monday Night Raw, um, they were just overlooked. They were overlooked. They weren't really seen. Kind of like what you see with DIY. I thought DIY was going to beat the Awesome Truth. Didn't happen. Tonight, I ultimately think that the Street Profits will beat A-Town Down Under. But then again, I don't know if that's going to happen. I kind of wish it really does because I feel like who better to put on a tag team match than an actual tag team contender? Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to talk down to Austin Theory because Austin Theory is a good wrestler. He's a good guy. He's kind of Vince McMahon's last guy that he tried to push so hard. And then Grayson Waller from NXT, like he was good with Grayson Waller effect and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. It should be interesting to find out what's gonna happen. Definitely gonna send some shorts tonight after I watch SmackDown. The moment I get done with this podcast, I'm gonna like click it on. Let's do it. Let's watch it. So I'm still like virgin eyes, like I haven't seen anything. So yeah. And lastly, we're gonna talk about Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles coming face to face for the last time before the WWE Backlash pay-per-view in France. Ultimately, I think that this is kind of just like just like a nice little thing just to kind of build tension. Ultimately, you kind of see AJ Styles kind of like not get the better of Cody Rhodes, but you saw Cody Rhodes win. He beat Carmelo Hayes last week, and then AJ Styles was like in his face and stuff like that. So ultimately, this could be big, and a lot of people take if there's a bold move that happens in Backlash, and like I said, I haven't met my Backlash predictions after this, but ultimately, like this could be big for either superstar. Like AJ Styles, I would say probably has. I'm not going to say like a 0% chance of beating Cody Rhodes because that'd be cynical. But at Backlash, I can kind of see maybe like a 95. No, not 95. That's still pretty bad. Maybe 85% Cody wins. 15% maybe AJ Styles. But I don't know. It's after Cody finished his story. 2 long years in the wrestling industry, and he was able to finish his story. So it would be kind of like, kind of nonsense for him to drop the title. But then again, like, we'll get more into it in the next segment. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Like I said, I promise we have our WWE Backlash predictions. Don't go anywhere. Let's do this.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of reflect on what we talked about. Our first segment, we talked about our Thursday night review, all the things that's happening in Impact Wrestling, TNA. We have the Under Siege pay-per-view that's happening tonight as we speak. If it's the East Coast for you, if it's the West Coast, it's already aired. Ultimately looking forward to checking out highlights of that, finding out the results, because I have pretty high hopes. I'm not trying to wish Moose to fail. I love Moose, and it kind of sucks that he beat Nick Nemeth in Las Vegas at the Palms Casino. But I don't know. I kind of want, maybe it's that WWE softened heart in me, and I'm like, man, Dolph Ziggler was so good for the WWE. Definitely a hustler. He even did well in his tag team bouts with Bobby Roode. And then, of course, he came from the Spirit Squad. Like, I don't know if any of you guys, kind of remember that when they used to feud with the, D-Generation X, when it was like Shane and Vince. And it was just, but then again, that kind of got me to like become like new, like not new fan, like not like, because I was always a D-Generation X fan, but it just, their, regeneration of D-Generation X back in 2007, 8, 2007. And I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool, and definitely is remembered. We also talked about our Thursday night wrestling review. We talked about Ring of Honor. Just quickly kind of ran through some of the matchups and you know the results of all of it. Definitely, miss my guy being, live the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. Definitely miss my man. But like I said, he had a new kid born, so good, hopefully all is well with my man. So anyways, and then also we talked about our WWE SmackDown preview, what happens tonight. I did not watch a single shred of wrestling, promise you guys. And by this time, you're probably like, dude, all right, stop, man. We get it. We get it. Like, why do you keep bringing this up? It's because I have integrity. If you don't respect that, you can. No, I'm just kidding. But let's move on to our third segment. We're going to talk about our WWE Backlash prediction. Let's, get right on into it. Let's go ahead and, of course, use the Tips of Donations link if you guys want to, to intrigue and kind of just, partake in this conversation in terms of WWE Backlash. Again, the link is at gsmcpodcast.net. Give me some questions. Your predictions for Backlash? Ooh, that'd be fun. Give me some of your predictions for Backlash as I'm talking about these matches. So, let's go ahead and get right on into it. So, of course, first and foremost, we're going to talk about the first match on the board. No, I don't think this is the first match on the board. I could be tripping. But ultimately, we're going to talk about the Bloodline with Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa has recently found himself in the winnings category and in a losing streak. Good for Solo Sikoa. No, but like I said before in prior podcasts, and if you guys are like a Solo Sikoa fan, I feel bad for you. No, I'm just kidding. No, he just I don't know. I feel like his past failures and the fact that he hasn't beaten anybody since John Cena in WrestleMania 39, it's just, I don't know. It kind of ruins the credibility of the Bloodline. And the Bloodline has been known henceforth, ever since Roman Reigns started it, to be known as kind of like this successful faction. And Solo Sikoa has not been successful, like at all. So, let's jump right on into it. We have the Bloodline against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. ultimately, like I said before in the prior segment, that this is going to be a good match. Ultimately, I feel like Tama Tonga and Kevin Owens are probably going to take like mostly the meat of this match. They're probably going to be the guys in the ring the whole time. Maybe Kevin Owens is going to be, in every tag team match, there's always that guy that gets his ass kicked and who's begging to reach for the tag to help somebody. Like that's going to be Kevin Owens, which kind of sucks because Kevin Owens is kind of like this powerhouse that's not recognizable in WWE as a powerhouse. But he's gonna tag the Viper Randy Orton, and Randy Orton's gonna start kicking ass. He's gonna kill Tama Tonga, and he's gonna kill Solo Sikoa, ultimately causing like some, like I said, I think this match is going to probably end in interference. Definitely, Jacob Fatu has been seen in WWE. There's been reports that he is in France tonight, enjoying a French dinner. Or just kidding. Imagine that he's just like, you have the French music in the background. Just kidding. But honestly, I can kind of see him kind of, getting into the fray, finally creating this new world order. And I can't believe I used an NWO, reference. So kill me, so shoot me. No, 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 no. I'm just kidding. There's no way that Tama Tonga, Jacob, and Solo Sikoa could ever match up to what the NWO did. But ultimately, I feel like this match is basically going to be like the bloodline is going to flex. It's going to grow. Jacob Fatu will make his debut at WWE Backlash, ultimately costing Kevin Owens and Randy Orton the match, in France. So, you should look forward to that. Moving on, we also have the Kabuki Warriors putting up their WWE Women's World Tag Team championships against Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Like I've kind of mentioned before, and I don't know if y'all could, um, kind of relate to me. I see, Jacob Robertson. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Hope y'all doing. Hope you're doing well, man. Absolutely, 110%. So I feel like if these two teams kind of go at it, it's going to be good. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great match. Nevertheless, there's no doubt in my mind that these superstars, you have Asuka, absolutely like dominant. That girl knows how to put on a match. You have Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane, like I said, she won the Mae Young Classic. She's had her way in WWE. Definitely had some historic. She's been probably the definition of consistency in the WWE World's Women's Division. She's been there, done that, kind of dabbled in NXT and stuff like that. Um, I kind of want to see. I don't know if they would ever give her a singles run, but if anybody deserved it, it would probably be Kairi Sane. She was, she's pretty good, even when she was the Pirate Princess. But then you have Jade Cargill from the AEW. Absolutely impressive, a powerhouse and stuff like that. Yeah, it's cool, absolutely, but I, I'm not doubting her abilities or anything like that. She is injury prone, 110%, but I don't know. I kind of don't want to see Belair and Jade win this match. And I know I might get a lot of scrutiny from you guys. And I know you guys are probably like, dude, what are you talking about? It's time that the Kabuki Warriors finally lose. Like, that'd be awesome. Yeah, it'd be cool to see something new in the WWE World Women's Tag Team. But my philosophy on the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast is I hate it. Hate it when two singles wrestlers band together to win a tag team championship. Why? Why don't you let Piper Niven and Chelsea Green be in this spotlight? Why don't you let Jordan Grace and Katana Chance? Like, there's so many other, options for the WWE Women's World Tag Team Division. Why do you have to bring Belair and Cargill into this? Everybody knows that they're gonna win. Like it's not really like a surprise. I feel like the only reason why Paul Levesque would put this in was because because he would expect people to like be like, oh, they're they think that they're gonna win this and that and the other. If they do win, that's cool. Great wrestlers, not doubting their abilities, not trying to crap on them or anything like that. But I want to see them lose their championships, probably, shortly into their reign to the point where maybe they start feuding. And I want to see Cargill and I want to see Belair in the ring not on the same side. I want to see them on opposite ring post. That would be badass. I feel like overall that would be best for the WWE. But it'd be interesting, it's interesting to see what they're going to do at Backlash with the Kabuki Warriors. So I don't know, just be on notice. This match is definitely going to be a heater. It's a lot of a lot of future stipulations based on this match right here for Asuka's career, for Kyrie's career, for Jade's, and most importantly, the number one pick for SmackDown in the 2024 WWE Draft, the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair. So, a lot of stuff riding on this match. So, they better do it right. They better do it right. Next, we have our triple threat match. Bayley's defending her WWE Women's Championship against Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton has recently kind of been like the antagonist of the women's division. Bayley, freshly turned face, trying to, kind of pad up her relationship with her past friend with Naomi. Naomi, old school veteran in WWE, trying to get back to the level where she was, maybe where she should have been in the first place, but due to injuries and just unfortunate booking in the WWE and Vince McMahon mostly. Just kidding. No, just it's Naomi's not in a position where anybody could really bet on her to kind of win this match on Backlash. Ultimately, I kind of see Bayley retaining here. A lot of people like, and I did a show about I think it was 3 days ago, and I was talking about Bayley winning the Royal Rumble. And ultimately, a lot of people were kind of like, I got a lot of, on the chat, basically people saying that, like, I don't think Bayley should have won the Royal Rumble. And honestly, when she won, I was surprised just as much as you were. And but they're obviously planning something with her. They had that storyline where she had to get out of damage control, the group she created and stuff like that. Kind of like that, the last thing that kind of Vince McMahon kind of left behind for Paul. And he was like, you know what? No, we need to put Bayley into singles wrestlers and they turn her face, which is the right way, which is the right decision, which is probably the best thing for Bayley's career in a very, very long time. I love Bayley as a wrestler, but as a heel, she was trash. She was trash. Basura. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Her mic skills, like it was like watching it was like seeing like a 90s movie where you have the teen cheerleader just tossing out like, kind of like jazz here, like, oh, you're so stupid. Oh, that's dumb. You're an idiot. Like it was just and then she gathered like a group of her friends, kind of like, comparison to 90s movies where you have your group of cheerleaders and you're like, you damage control, e.g. But ultimately, I just feel like Bayley wasn't meant to be a heel. She wasn't meant to be a heel. And the moment she turned babyface, I kind of like, I loved it. I loved it a lot. Like she honestly, and then like you see her tweets, you see her on social media, you see her with the fans. She missed it. She loves it. She hated absolutely hated being a heel. I read on articles, I read reports and stuff like that, that Bayley didn't want to go heel. She never really wanted to. And honestly, you can kind of see this portrayed in her character when she was heel because it was awkward. When someone's not in the, in the spot where they're supposed to be, they get uncomfortable as a wrestler. Definitely. And then as a fan, as a viewer, as an audience member, I feel uncomfortable too. I probably grown a couple of ulcers watching this happen. It was that terrible. No, I'm just kidding. No, but ultimately, Bayley gonna be a face. She's probably going to retain. I don't see any reason why Naomi should win this match, and I don't see any reason yet that Tiffany Stratton takes the WWE Women's Championship away from Bayley. So next we have our WWE World's Heavyweight Championship match between Jey Uso and Damian Priest. This match is going to be definitely a looker. This is probably going to be one of the most, it's unpredictable to a point, but and I know that they're trying to push Damian Priest as a babyface, but ultimately this is gonna be how the Judgment Day finally break up. I feel like, and I don't think that McDonough, Finn Balor, and Dirty Dom cost Damian Priest the World's Heavyweight Championship because I love Jey Uso. I love the Yeet. Definitely love the Yeet. but he's not ready yet. He's not ready to hold on to the championship. He's not ready to kind of be that caliber of like that main event. Like he is main event Jey Uso. It's cool. He wins. Like I said, he defeated people like Finn Balor. He basically beat Roman Reigns in his match. But uh, I would think it would be kind of silly for WWE to push the title on him this soon. This soon, absolutely. But I think right now for WWE to establish credibility and also to kind of keep that babyface momentum for Damian Priest. They need to keep the title on him right now because, as a title holder, of course, the WWE World's Heavyweight Championship, you kind of have an X on your chest. So everybody wants to get up. Everybody, wants to fight you. You have all the heels in wrestling, like trying to like do everything they can to stab you in the back. And then you have all the faces in WWE, like Jey Uso, that are going to come out and be like, I want to challenge you face to face. No BS, no like, trickery or camaraderie or anything like that. I don't have guys. I don't have guys back there that are ready to come out and try to kick your ass for no reason. Kind of like what the Judgment Day's been doing to Jey Uso and even Damian Priest 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. I kind of looked at it and he was like, dude, like, what are you guys doing? I didn't ask you guys to come out here. Why are you here? Why are you here? Ultimately, like, this is going to be interesting. Honestly, this is going to be one of the most interesting matches that happens at WWE Backlash. So excited to see it. I guess my prediction is probably Damian Priest holding on to the championship. It'd be interesting to see what happens with Jey Uso in terms of, I don't know, maybe. I, I highly doubt. I highly doubt one of the Bloodline members will come out and screw him, so to speak, or Jimmy comes back, but Jimmy's injured, so he's going to be out. But highly doubt that's going to happen. So it's going to be a good match. Going to be a good match, nevertheless. Finally, we're going to finish it off. The main event, our WWE Undisputed Championship match between the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. This match is going to be good. It's going to be good. Both of these guys, they have high caliber wrestling match potential. These guys are probably better than any other wrestler in the locker room. And I'm not trying to say that to be like, WWE kind of brought these guys as like world heavyweight championship caliber guys. So obviously they are going to be number one. Dude, like these guys have traveled all around the world. New Japan Wrestling, Ring of Honor. These guys are literally the definition of a world champion. Like I love Roman Reigns, love him to death. Saw him, in Ohio Valley Wrestling, NXT, WWE, but Roman really never went to Ring of Honor. Never really went to New Japan Wrestling or like Impact Wrestling or just like the MLW or the CZW or stuff like that. Like honestly, like if you want to know that your WWE champion is really the champion of all over the world, you have to travel a little bit, dude. Like, but then again, that's on WWE. That's on WWE, not on Roman. WWE don't want to open their doors. They don't want that forbidden door open, which I think is, nonsense. Absolutely, 110%. But like I said, with Paul Levesque, taking over, obviously you saw Jordan Grace come the TNA Knockouts champion, which, like I said, I have, conspiracy theories like that. We'll save that for another episode. It's Friday. It's been a long day. I have about 9 more minutes before I, give you guys, sweet, sweet kisses into your weekend. Hope you guys have a lovely weekend planned with your family. If you're all by yourself with your hamster, I'm just kidding. I gotta stop saying that. Like, I'm gonna get canceled based on the hamster thing. But anyways, my prediction, just kind of hit on this sweet nothings real quick. Obviously, Cody Rhodes is going to win the match, but I think ultimately this match is going to kind of demonstrate why AJ Styles still kind of got it. It wouldn't surprise me if after this match, WWE Raw makes a trade for AJ Styles. Ultimately, probably you have the breakup of the Judgment Day happen. Maybe Judgment Day goes to SmackDown and AJ Styles comes to Raw, or perhaps maybe, I don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. But ultimately, I feel like whoever is going to be traded to Monday Night Raw, I feel like kind of has to kind of have the caliber of challenging Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship because you know this is obvious. This is kind of like like even if you're a businessman, if you're gonna give up a talent like AJ Styles, if you're SmackDown, you want to have like that same caliber of talent. Ultimately, kind of like switching forward, like that's what a trade is. That's what bartering is. Like you have to trade value for value. If you get lowballed, you're not gonna want to make that trade. So ultimately, I feel like this match is going to be awesome. I see Cody Rhodes winning, defeating AJ Styles. AJ Styles hopefully goes to Raw to pursue Damian Priest, which would be one hell of a match. Absolutely awesome. But yeah. Fourth segment. Looking forward to our fourth segment. We have our wrestling news roundup, which I like to do every Friday on my last segment. Just kind of give you guys a little bit about what's happening in the wrestling world. Some major talking points. If you find yourself in a professional wrestling conversation with like maybe like a guy at a bus stop or someone standing in line at the grocery store. Or maybe you're sitting at a bar, like chilling out, and like you're just hanging out there, like drinking a beer, and there's like that guy. He's like, you know what's crazy? This happened in and he's like, dude, like, thanks to Eric from the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, I can participate in this conversation. I'm just kidding. No. So let's get on into it. Time is running short, so hey, be right back.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Yo, what's up, my GSMC Wrestling Laureate fans? It's your boy E here on the mic from the GSMC Sports Network. Let's go ahead and reflect on what we talked about real quick. We talked about our Thursday Night Wrestling review in terms of Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling Under Siege happening tonight. We also have our WWE Smackdown preview. And we talked about WWE Backlash predictions. But, trying to get into this real quick, we're going to talk about our not WWE, our wrestling news roundup real quick. So let's get around and jump around and into it. So, first and foremost, we're going to talk about The Rock. The Rock has recently been scrutinized all over social media, all over Twitter. You have those Twitter rats and stuff like that. Basically saying after a couple of flop movies that he produced, after he starred in, he kind of used the WWE to kind of compensate for his failures in Hollywood. And to be honest, I don't really kind of see that because I feel like every Rock movie I've ever seen is like a huge banger. Should be like, it's respected. It's pretty awesome. I think he has respect for the WWE, and a lot of what a lot of people don't really take in consideration is that the Rock's love for the business of wrestling. Obviously this is where he kind of started out. This is where his kind of his destiny kind of landed him. If there was no The Rock the wrestler, there would be no Dwayne The Rock actor. So honestly, I don't see why he would ever crap on someone like WWE or kind of be like, oh, I need to go back to this to kind of get my numbers up and stuff like that. Because ultimately, he has a passion for the business, and if you didn't see that in the promos he had with Cody Rhodes heading toward WrestleMania night 1 and night 2, that's just the problem you have. Like, you know what I mean? I think The Rock ultimately, he's genuine. He's a businessman. He's a businessman. He's a freaking businessman. So honestly, I don't think he would ever use WWE like that. And WWE is his home. WWE's home. The best thing that I could probably compare this to is like if you're a person like kind of, imagine you're a teenager or someone who recently graduated from high school and or college, and then you finally move out of your parents' house. You accomplish so many things, but then you hit hardships. You hit hardships and you're like, oh, okay, like sometimes I got to go down to, recuperate, and then you go back to your parents' house for like a couple months. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're taking advantage of your parents. Like, thus, The Rock isn't coming down to WWE, taking advantage of WWE. It's more or less just like, you know, he is a chairman in the TKO board. So I feel like it's quite the opposite. As soon as Vince McMahon left the WWE, he kind of left it in shambles. And the moment Paul Levesque took over and The Rock, I felt like was kind of like in like the passenger seat, so to speak. I feel like The Rock really did this because he saw what he loved in WWE/WWF kind of go down to this boring entity. Even I was kind of guilty of like sometimes I would skip maybe like 2 weeks and not watch wrestling because I'm like, yeah, it's so predictable. Let's just watch the pay-per-views. So, but recently I've been hooked. I've been hooked on every single episode of SmackDown and Raw and NXT. It's been captivating. 110% captivated, and you can't help but to think that The Rock is definitely kind of behind that. He has Hollywood experience, obviously, like, he's been during the Attitude Era, so this guy knows how to captivate an audience and what keeps people hooked. Next, we have Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, although he is injured, he hurt his meniscus. He's going to be out for a couple of months. He was drafted to WWE Raw, the Visionary. He signed a major deal in WWE. So Seth Rollins is expected to be back in WWE live, large, and in charge every Monday Night Rollins. So, it's cool. I love seeing Seth Rollins. He's a great wrestler. So definitely love to see and hear this news come out. WWE have to take care of their top superstar. So, hey, let's do it. Kenny Omega recently on the AEW Dynamite show got attacked by the Elite, ultimately being kind of like taken out and being like hospitalized and stuff like that. It was purposely done. Major kayfabe. His injury, he can't yet perform in ring. This guy he hasn't even had a surgery yet to fix whatever's wrong with him. So I feel like whatever happened, because I kind of had that mentality on AEW when I heard that Kenny Omega was coming back. I was like, okay, cool. He's gonna build a group of guys. He's gonna bring a stable to bring down the Elite. Katsuchika Okada, the EVPs, and also Jack Perry. But I think this was kind of the opposite. This was kind of like a way for him to get taken out and get injured and stuff like that, just so he can do his surgery and kind of be out for, honestly, probably like, I would say probably like 6 months tops. So what does that say about AEW? So for the next 6 months, are we supposed to be excited to see this, this elite ran, production, in terms of Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage? Mm, I feel like they got to do something. I feel like Nick, Tony Khan, they got to try to figure something out because what's happening right now between the EVPs, I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's good enough to hold an audience. I don't think it's good enough for the wrestling promotion. And like I said, I want to see AEW succeed because, when two wrestling promotions are kind of going at it, I feel like it's better for the audience in terms. But should be interesting. All in all, Kenny Omega is not going to fight anytime soon. So, heartbreaking, but that's the thing. Next, we're going to talk about Jacob Fatu. I kind of hit on this, kind of going, talking about Backlash, kind of talking about our WWE SmackDown preview, that he was seen at WWE headquarters. He was also seen in France in WWE, which I feel like is going to be the ultimate reason why Randy Orton and Kevin Owens will not beat Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa, the quote unquote new young bloodline. Ultimately, I feel like he's going to make his debut. He's going to make his presence known, and he's going to be kind of Solo Sikoa's, protege. He's going to be kind of like his new enforcer, although his MFT, Tonga, kind of like owns that fact right now. But ultimately, what's going to happen is that these three are going to come together. And it's I'm just honestly, and it's kind of crazy to say because this guy's like, the advocate for Roman Reigns, but I'm excited to see what Paul Heyman thinks about all this. Absolutely, 110%. I want to see what Paul Heyman thinks of all this. I want to see what happens to him in the future. What I kind of would like to see him do in the future, and I know this might be kind of overstepping my boundaries in terms of being your GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcaster, but honestly, I kind of want to see Paul Heyman kind of get his ass kicked. I want to see. I want to see him get his act kicked, and I'm not rooting for that. I'm not rooting for that. I'm rooting for the next step. I want to see him like kind of be like a little disgruntled and be like, I've been kicked out of the bloodline. I need a way to get back in. Of course, that leaves windows open for either The Rock or Roman Reigns to come back. But to be honest, I would kind of like to see Paul Heyman take a step away from the bloodline for a little bit, especially with Roman Reigns being out, The Rock, trying to, conquer Hollywood and stuff like that. Um, what I would like to see, and I know this might be a huge step and a huge, like, boundary changer, but Paul Heyman has never, never, ever, ever been the advocate for a WWE women's wrestler. He's never been that. I think it'd be cool to kind of see him, like, kind of make the next step, kind of help kind of help a WWE Women's Champion. Either like I don't think he would do it with the new NXT stars like Valkyrie. I don't think he would, you know, but I don't know. I would love to see him work with some of the women's wrestlers, because like I said before, you haven't really seen him in the corner, the advocate for, because I feel like the moment you put Paul Heyman with any wrestler, it automatically becomes something genuine, something audience members pay attention to, and just something that just blows up the wrestling career of whoever's, partakes, as the main superstar. So honestly, I know that's a huge jump. Doubt that'll ever happen. But if that ever happens, I'm gonna put a smile on my face and I'm like, dude, that's pretty effing cool, man. That's awesome. Next, we have WWE NXT releasing superstars like Valentino Feliz, Daryl Mason, Vlad Palenko, and many, many more. And of course, the name that's been probably the most controversial has been Drew Gulak. Kind of sucks to kind of see the way he kind of went out. I'm not necessarily sure that they did this to kind of protect themselves from Ronda Rousey, but ultimately, I feel like he was like a main person of the No Quarter Catch crew, and he was good in WWE. That's the reason why WWE kept him around for so long. You saw people from the Two Alive roster kind of just fall short. You saw Mustafa Ali go to independent wrestling. You saw Cedric Alexander join the Hurt, not the Hurt Locker. Bobby Lashley's, crew ultimately kind of getting his butt kicked. And then you saw TJ Perkins kind of fall off the cliff a little bit in terms of 205 Live. Neville, the champions of the cruiserweights. He's in AEW now. But they kept Drew Gulak for a reason. I felt like because like I don't know, he had something. And just kind of sad to kind of see someone like Gulak leave. I'm not trying to condone any actions that he's ever like did toward Ronda. I know from his standpoint, he says that he's completely innocent, and Ronda Rousey kind of claims him as like kind of like a pervert or something like that. And but like I said, not trying to take sides, not trying to take sides, but I'm gonna miss Drew Gulak. Gonna miss Drew Gulak definitely. So NXT stars, I think there was like 10 total that like got let go, but ultimately yeah. So, lastly, we're gonna talk about Brian Danielson. Recently, he had an injury at AEW Dynasty where he hurt his neck. He felt like he couldn't move. He felt like he was paralyzed for a solid 5 minutes. But it was ultimately, kayfabe. He said during the match, after the match, Will Ospreay hit that, that dragon driver or something like that, which he, retired the move. But ultimately, he said that Daniel Bryan said that it felt like kind of like a stinger, and quote unquote, he's fine. He's fine. He's like, I don't want to say 100%, but he's like probably like 85. But he said he's going to take a step away from wrestling for a little bit. So definitely he's going to come back 100% in a couple of months for AEW, because honestly, at this point, AEW needs all this talent. He needs all this talent. When Brian Danielson, the moment he probably went down, a lot of people were like, ah, great. Like, great, we lost MJF and Sting retired, and freaking CM Punk went to WWE. Like, um, this is this is something that AEW needs. I would love to see Brian Danielson continue to be in the Dragon on AEW, Ring of Honor. So I'm happy. I'm happy that he's gonna come back. I'm happy that he's not hurt. Obviously, you never ever want to like, be like, oh, the wrestler and stuff like that. Like, but these wrestlers go through like legitimate injuries, like we kind of talked about on our last podcast on Thursday, how some of these wrestling careers ended in an instant, in a blink of an eye. Blink of an eye, a botched move, someone landed wrong on their neck, someone landed wrong like Sid Vicious on the back of his leg, snapping his leg, tearing mostly like his fibula and his MCL, ACL, like just absolutely tearing it to shreds. Absolute like craziness. So when these superstars fight, this is kind of like something that like people are like, you know what? I don't really pay too much attention to like how this really, what wrestling is all about. All I know is these guys are running around in tights, tighty whities or something like that. Like, dude, it's just there's more than that. There's absolutely more than that. Like, wrestlers, I feel like should get more respect than they actually do. But I feel like in this generation, in this era, the Paul Levesque era, it's going to open possibilities for maybe pop culture to get involved, maybe for new fans to be sprouted and stuff like that. Especially with NXT being so much like prominent on their WWE Women's division, which is awesome, which is cool. And I feel like Ava leading the charge as your general manager is probably the best way you can do it. You have a woman's general manager making history, taking her division, the women's division in NXT, kind of propelling it to the next level. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. And I've been saying this for the longest time, that the backbone of NXT, we love Trick Williams, we loved Ilya Dragunov, but ultimately it's the women's division. It's the women's division that has been so prominent, so dominating, especially in terms of the ratings in NXT. So, definitely interested to see where they, keep going with that. Hoping for the best. Women's wrestlers absolutely rock. Keep doing what you're doing. But guys, looks like we're out of time here. Kind of have ran a little bit of overtime. But thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Leave a positive review here at the GSMC Sports Network. We love peace, love, and positivity all the way, baby. All the way. So follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Honestly, like I said, if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, we have a bunch of other sports shows. We have a bunch of other podcasts and stuff like that. So catch football, catch baseball, catch basketball. We have hockey newly, also golf. We also have our, Hoops and Heels show. So, guys, it's growing. Be a part of our podcasting bloodline. 1,010%. You're not going to regret, tuning into one of our shows because, unlike all these other shows, you kind of have to pay subscriptions for in terms of like, ESPN, Fox. Like, we're free. We're absolutely 110% free. So check us out. Check how, we a lot of these takes that these podcasters are doing are some of the smartest takes I've ever watched. And I am a fan of like watching Colin Cowherd, a fan of watching First Take. I'm a fan of watching Undisputed and stuff like that. And some of these stuff that these podcasters that we have at the GSMC Sports Network, it's just, it's rejuvenating. It's something that definitely, helps the company. It draws fans' attentions. It's just something that I would never, ever want my Wrestling Laureate podcasters, my fans, to ever miss out on. So if you're a sports fan of things other than, GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, so make sure you dabble your feet, kind of take a dip in the pool of the GSMC Sports Network. So, that's it for me. Thank you once again for tuning into my show. And hey, have a phenomenal weekend. Have a great day. Sleep well. Hope you guys have a fun, productive weekend. And love you guys.
I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work. Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work. Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit.